They say that revenge is a dish best served cold. But in this city, we don't just serve it cold. We serve it under crystal chandeliers in a five-star ballroom, wearing a dress that costs more than a luxury car. If you had seen me last night, sitting in the front row of the grand ballroom, you would have thought that I was the luckiest woman alive. I was clapping. I was smiling. I was looking up at the stage with tears in my eyes. My husband, Omar, was standing there, holding the heavy golden trophy for Entrepreneur of the Year. The lights were blinding, the applause was deafening. He looked like a king. He thanked his investors. He thanked his incredible team. He thanked his destiny. He didn't thank me. And you know what? I didn't mind, because while he was holding that trophy, gripping it tight like it was the only thing that mattered, he didn't know that his phone, which was sitting in his tuxedo pocket, had just received a notification that I had triggered 3 minutes ago. He didn't know that the black credit card in his wallet was now just a piece of useless plastic. He didn't know that the company he was so proud of didn't belong to him anymore. My name is Layla, and for the last 10 years, I have been the silent wife, the one who stays home, the one who nods, the one who signs the papers without reading them. Or at least, that's what Omar thought. But last night, I didn't just clap for him, I destroyed him. And I did it without ever raising my voice. Let me tell you how. To understand why I did what I did, you have to understand where we came from. We weren't always these people. We weren't always VIPs. 10 years ago, when we first moved to this city, we lived in a studio apartment on the edge of town that smelled like damp concrete. The AC unit rattled so loud we had to shout to hear each other over dinner. Omar wasn't a CEO then. He was a dreamer. He had these big, wild eyes. He would pace around that tiny room talking about logistics, about supply chains, about how this country was a gold mine waiting for us to dig. I loved him so much it hurt. I truly did. I remember the day he came home, pale and shaking. He had an opportunity, a massive contract, but he needed capital to secure the trade license and the initial stock. Banks wouldn't touch us. We had no credit history. He sat on the edge of the bed, head in his hands, crying. He said, "Lila, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to be a nobody forever." I couldn't bear to see him like that. So I did what women in our culture have done for generations. I went to the closet and I pulled out the velvet box, my mar, my gold, the heavy necklaces my mother gave me, the bracelets from my grandmother. It was my safety net, my insurance policy. I put the box in his lap. I said, "Sell it." He looked at me shocked. He said, "No, Lila, I can't. That's your security." I kissed his forehead. I said, "You are my security, Omar. We are a team. If you win, I win." We sold it all, every gram. We got just enough cash to start the company. And there is one more detail, a small, boring legal detail that matters more than anything else in this story. Listen closely. About 2 months after we started, Omar had to travel abroad to meet suppliers. The bank needed someone here in the city to sign checks and handle customs clearance while he was gone. He was in a rush to the airport. He was stressed. He stopped by a typing center and signed a general power of attorney, not a specific one, a general one. It gave me, his wife, the legal right to sell, buy, transfer, and manage all his assets in his absence. He threw the paper on the table and said, "Here, keep this safe in case the bank calls while I'm overseas." I filed it away in a blue plastic folder. He came back 2 weeks later. The business took off. and he forgot he ever signed it. He forgot. But I kept that blue folder. For 10 years, it moved with us, from the studio on the edge of town to the apartment in the suburbs, and finally to the massive villa by the water. It sat in the bottom of a box, gathering dust, until 6 months ago. They say money changes people. I don't think that's true. I think money just amplifies who you really are. As Omar got richer, he got louder. The kindness washed away. He started caring about the brand of his watch more than the time of day. He stopped coming home for dinner. He said he was networking. I tried to be understanding. I raised our 2 beautiful children. I managed the house. I hosted the dinners. I played the part. But then came the iPad. It was a Tuesday. Omar was in the shower. He usually took his phone into the bathroom with him. Huge red flag, I know. But he had left his iPad on the nightstand charging. It buzzed. I wasn't snooping, I swear. I was just putting a glass of water next to the bed. But the screen lit up. And the message wasn't from a client. It wasn't from a supplier. It was from real estate agent Sarah. The message read, "I can't wait for you to leave her. That apartment is too small for us, baby. Did you transfer the deposit?" My blood turned to ice. I stood there frozen. Then another message. "She's so boring, Omar. How do you stand her? Just divorce her already." I knew that tone. I knew that writing style. Sarah wasn't a real estate agent. I typed in the passcode. He used his own birthday, the narcissist, and I opened the chat history. I scrolled up, and then I saw a photo. It was a selfie of Omar and Nora. Nora, my best friend from university, the woman who came to my house every Friday for coffee, the woman who held my hand when I gave birth to my son, the woman who sat at my dining table, ate my food, and smiled in my face. They had been together for 2 years. I read the messages. They were planning their future. Omar wrote, "Just wait until the Q3 profits clear in November. I'm moving the bulk of the cash to the offshore account. Then I'll file for divorce. I'll give her the house and the kids, but she won't touch the liquid cash. She's too stupid to understand how the holding company works." She's too stupid. That was the sentence that saved me. If he had said he fell out of love with me, I might have cried. If he said he was sorry, I might have screamed. But he called me stupid. He mocked the sacrifice I made. He mocked the gold I sold to build his throne. I heard the shower turn off. I had about 30 seconds. I wanted to smash the iPad against the wall. I wanted to run into the bathroom and tear the shower curtain down. My heart was hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. But then I remembered the blue folder. I wiped my face. I put the iPad back exactly where it was. I turned off the light and got into bed. When Omar came out smelling of expensive soap, he kissed me on the cheek. "Good night, Layla," he said. "Good night, darling." I didn't sleep that night. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, plotting the death of his ego. The next 6 months were the hardest of my life. Do you know how hard it is to pour coffee for a woman who is sleeping with your husband? Nora would come over, wearing her designer sunglasses, asking me about my boring mom life. I had to smile. I had to say, "Oh, just busy with the kids." Meanwhile, I was busy with lawyers. I found the blue folder. The general power of attorney was 10 years old. I was terrified it had expired. I took it to a top lawyer in the financial district, a shark of a man named Mr. Kareem. He looked at the paper. He adjusted his glasses. He looked at me. "Mrs. Layla," he said, "this is extremely powerful. This document gives you unconditional authority. as long as he hasn't revoked it. You are effectively him. You can do anything. Is it still valid? I asked, my hands shaking. It has no expiry date, he smiled. But if we use this, he will contest it. He will say he didn't know. We need to make it ironclad. So, we came up with a plan. The trust fund plan. I wouldn't steal the money. That would be theft. Instead, I would use my power to restructure the company. I would transfer the ownership of the main holding company into a trust fund for the benefit of our children, with me as the sole trustee. Legally, I was protecting the family assets. Morally, I was taking everything. But I had to wait. Remember the text message? Omar said he was waiting for the Q3 profits to clear in November. That was the big money. Millions from a massive government contract. If I moved too early, I would only get half. I had to wait for him to close the deal. I had to let him win, so I could take the prize. So I became the perfect wife. I encouraged him. You can do it, Omar. This deal is your legacy. I ironed his shirts for the meetings. I massaged his shoulders when he was stressed. I even encouraged him to buy a new car, a G-Wagon. Why? Because he put it under the company name, which meant soon it would be my car. The night before the gala, he came home buzzing. The money hit the account, Layla, he said, popping a bottle of champagne. We are rich, richer than ever. He hugged me. I couldn't have done it without you. He lied. And I said, I know. And I meant it. That brings us back to last night. The gala, the Grand Hotel. I spent 3 hours getting ready. I wore a dress that was midnight blue, sharp, elegant. I wanted to look like a widow, even though my husband was still alive. We sat at the VIP table. Nora was there, too. She was sitting 2 tables away, supposedly as a guest of the PR firm. I saw them exchanging looks, winks, smirks. They thought they had won. They thought the next day, Omar would serve me divorce papers. I checked my watch. 9:45 p.m. Mr. Kareem, my lawyer, was sitting in his office with the digital paperwork ready. We had agreed on a signal. 1 text message from me. Execute. At 9:50 p.m., they called Omar's name. And the winner is Omar El Hassan. He stood up, he buttoned his tuxedo, he kissed my cheek for the cameras. The applause was roaring. As he walked up the stairs to the stage, I pulled my phone out of my clutch bag. I typed it, EXECUTE. Send. I watched the delivery ticks turn blue. While Omar was giving his speech, talking about vision and hard work, the digital banking system was processing a request. Transaction 1, ownership of Al Hassan Holdings, transferred to the Layla and Children Trust. Transaction 2, corporate bank accounts frozen for internal auditing by the new trustee. Transaction 3, all credit cards linked to the company account suspended. He finished his speech. He held up the trophy. To the future, he yelled. To the future, I whispered. He walked off stage, high on adrenaline. He came back to the table. Did you see that? Did you see how they looked at me? He asked, breathless. I saw everything, Omar, I said. I'm going to get a bottle of vintage champagne for the table. The big one. 5,000. We need to celebrate. He walked to the bar. I turned my chair so I could watch. He pulled out his black card. He handed it to the bartender. He swiped it. Pause. The bartender frowned. He swiped it again. He said something to Omar. He laughed dismissively. It's a black card, Habibi. Just swipe it properly. The bartender tried again. Then he handed the card back. Declined. I saw Omar's neck turn red. He pulled out another card, his personal debit. Declined. He was starting to panic. He checked his phone, and that's when I sent the final text. I saw him look at his screen. Message from Layla. Check your emails, CEO. He looked up across the room. His eyes locked onto mine. In that moment, the distance between us wasn't just 20 meters of ballroom floor, it was an ocean. He opened his email. He saw the transfer notification from the government registry. He saw the bank alerts. He saw that the stupid wife who didn't understand the holding company had just utilized Clause 4, Section B of a 10-year-old power of attorney to legally acquire his entire life's work. His face, it went from red to gray. He looked like he was going to vomit. He started running towards me. Layla, what did you do? Layla! People were turning to look. The entrepreneur of the year was screaming at his wife. I didn't yell back. I simply stood up. I smoothed out my dress. I picked up my clutch. He reached the table, breathless, sweating. You stole my company. I'll call the police. I leaned in close, so only he and Nora, who had rushed over, could hear. I didn't steal anything, Omar, I said, my voice calm and steady. I just cashed in my investment. You sold my gold to start this company. I just took my profit. I looked at Nora. She looked terrified. He's all yours now, Habibi. I hope you like paying for dinner, because he can't. I turned around and walked out. I walked through the lobby, past the fountains, and into the warm night air. I ordered a ride home, paid for with my own card, and left. I locked the door. I went to the children's room and kissed them while they slept. Then I went to the kitchen, made myself a cup of tea, and sat in the silence. My phone has been ringing for 3 hours. 50 missed calls from Omar, 20 from Nora. Messages threatening me, messages begging me. I haven't blocked them yet. I'm enjoying the notifications. Tomorrow, I will file for divorce, but I won't be asking for alimony. I don't need it. I already have the company. And that trophy he won, he can keep it. It's the only thing he owns now.